Good evening, sports fans, and welcome back to the Rebel recap for Divisions 1, 2, and 3. My name is Superfed TV. I am coach of Team Brazzers, and I am joined today by two other coaches from Division 2, which are Grrzoot and ArchXL. Thank you for joining me, guys.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
All right, and we are going to get things launched with Division 3, as we did last week. Taking a look at Week 2 results. Division 3 is right on schedule. They have not played any games of Week 3 yet, which is awesome. The higher divisions are a little bit more zealous, and they've got a couple games played. But going over to the results here, the first one, the score may alarm you, 3-5 in this High Elf versus High Elf match. However, unfortunately, the winning team is not necessarily the winner here. 3-1 was the score when Please Don't Murder Me got disconnected. And by default, that gave him 4 touchdowns for the win for not FDA approved.
Because it gives you a touchdown for every 2 turns left.
Actually, I want to say it makes it so you always win by 2.
Yeah, I think you always win by 2.
Yeah, so if it was 1, then he would just be at 3-1. But yeah, so that's rough. Unfortunately for both teams too, there were deaths in this game, so everything up to the disconnect still counts, and that was a big death for not FDA approved. I don't know if you guys saw this, but his thrower, which was Blodge and I believe accurate, and Surehands is no longer with us, so that will definitely.
But Super Dragon's still alive, right?
Super Dragon is alive and well. He even got one of the MVPs there. He is headed for legend status, unless he can get a boot to the head somewhere along the way. We'll see what the future holds for this team.
Strength 5Ls are gross.
Yes, Strength 5Ls should never exist. Statistics-wise, so I think it made it to turn 13, I want to say is where it got disconnected, but as you would expect, a low number of blocks between High Elves, but the blocks that did land were actually pretty serious. A number of armor breaks for both sides, but they both have Mighty Blow, so it's not too surprising. And we can move on to the next match, which was Howl at the Moon and Scholarly Gentleman. Another concede, unfortunately. Scholarly Gentleman was not able to play the game due to real-life issues, and the 1-0 victory was awarded to Rumblebee's Howl at the Moon.
Oh, good for Rumble. He finally won a match.
It really helped my fantasy team this week because with him not actually playing a game, everybody who had Rod as their captains didn't get their usual 26 points.
That's very true, although Rod did get the MVP. But I guess that does not count. So.
Yeah, SPP doesn't matter.
Very good. Cenobite the Curb played and lost to the Three Mountains. Cenobite is the Chaos team that we took a look at last week, I believe. They had more armor breaks than the Dwarves, but unfortunately, it looks like the removal still went the Dwarves' way, and Chaos seemed to struggle picking up the ball. Ball control heavily in the Dwarves' favor, 56% of the possession.
3 expulsions. I just want to point out 3 expulsions.
Yeah, Dwarves don't usually foul, but this one certainly knows how to do it and applied pressure to the forehead.
It was abandoned.
Who do you foul with 3 times on this team?
Longbeards, apparently.
Yeah, but they're all good.
Yeah, I know it. It must have. I mean, if you've already got the numbers advantage, then you just keep trying to lean on it. And
that's fair. With
3 expulsions, I'm guessing those were probably no more than 4 attempts. So he probably just got caught every time he tried. Moving on to the Big Green Weenies playing The Secret of My Success. That is an Orc versus Orc match if I've ever seen one. A whopping 1 armor break for The Secret of My Success with 45 blocks, and that was only a stun. Not a single removal in favor of The Secret of My Success. Whereas the Big Green Weenies were able to inflict 2 casualties. The one thing that does jump out, though, is there's a 20 block favor for Big Green Weenies. So unless those removals were really early on, I would guess that just they played it better.
Pushing each other all day.
Well, there's probably knockdowns. It's just there's no claw here, and little mighty blow and AV9.
Yep, they just hop right back up.
The Necromantic Newbies took the 2-0 win over Lebowski Urban Achievers. For those of you that don't know, Necromantic Newbies had a really rough first season, and I'm actually pleased to see them just getting out to a really early lead. It's quite impressive, and unfortunately, a zombie gets a level up here, but I'm guessing another dirty player. Yep, so I think that might be 3 dirty players for this Necro coach, and that I like.
22 SPP gained for the Necromantic Newbies. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good game. Lebowski Urban Achievers took some injuries, but the level up on the MVP there looks like it was for tackle. Going tackle first on a Beastman. I don't see that pretty often. But he must be going up into some of these dodge teams. If he's rushing that would be my guess. Moving on. Dimension C137 took a 2-1 win over Lords of Decay. So it looks like the undead team here was able to contain the rats and avoid any one-turn shenanigans. Better than I can do.
22 arbor breaks and 3 expulsions. They were on it.
Definitely looking to kill some rats. 87% ball possession, so I think the rats probably did a 2-turn score, and Underworld Undead rather just controlled the game from there. But we'll see if Lords of Decay had any real damage a little bit later on here. And then Rebel Rousers lost 0-2 to Skinky Island Boys, the Lizardman team. And the Agi 4 Skink got a level up and took catch. Seems odd to me.
Yeah, ball handling is always a problem for skinks. So
An Agi 4 one, though?
and
Well,
not
yeah.
so much, but if you only have one chance to pick up the ball to move it to where you need to, you tend to favor anything that will help.
Not sidestep? Or sprint?
I would probably take sidestep before catch on that.
Yeah.
I would have probably taken sprint or sure feet.
Sure feet's good too. Interesting choice. We'll see how it works out for Skinky Island Boys. And over on the Rebel Rousers, they also got an MVP on their guard lineman, so now they have basically an extra blitzer, which is kind of nice. Statistics-wise, 19 successful blocks for the humans. That seems like they were a little out of their element. Or they were just
19 to 55. Wow, they were really out of position. Or the skinks or the lizards just got early knockdowns.
I mean, look at the removals. I mean, 8 removals. That's serious. My guess is maybe that, yeah, they're probably early, and then he was just afraid to throw 1 dice or red dice, which against, against Saurus that haven't leveled up, a red dice with a block piece is not a scary thing. At least it's not as scary as it should be. So.
No, it really isn't.
But those sources are leveled.
Most of his. He has 1 or 2 that just keep dying.
Oh yeah. Clayton 2 and Knox 3.
Yeah. Clayton just died the week 1, so I know he doesn't have them all there yet. Perfect. Well, that's going to do it for the recaps for that week. Let's take a quick look at the leaderboard and see who's doing well. Bringing up the rear, Scholarly Gentlemen, they missed that game, so that doesn't surprise me. Everybody else there has at least a draw. So that's actually pretty close. And then 2 draws for the Orc team, coached by Rusty Seabutter. Moving up from there, we've got Chaos and Dwarfs. The Undead and Lizards and Necro all are at 1-1 apiece. Howl at the Moon and Not FDA Approved are leading the division currently at 2-0. I'm actually really not surprised here. These are the 2 coaches that were in higher divisions last season, and they probably had a strong case to be in a higher division this season. So,
well, ATL was Div 3 last season too.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So like all these other coaches were Div 4 and below. and these two coaches in particular got passed up by Gengar's team and Pig Sofa to go up to Div 2. So
I think that was just a TV value. TV.
Yeah,
thing.
not FDA approved was really beat up. At the
they
end of the
were,
season.
and TV. I mean, TV's one part of it. I know also racial diversity. How many elves do we really want to have in one division, kind of a thing too? Since we are pretty
all of
elf
them.
heavy. We're pretty elf heavy as it is in Div 2, so that doesn't surprise me. So we're going to do our in-depth look at a couple of these teams. The two teams that we're going to look at this week, well, the first one anyway, is the Three Mountains, which are coached by Chaos Abulu, who is one of the sports reporters for the lower divisions. Great coach. He's this is his second season with the league. This team had really a good first season. I think they only lost a couple games. However, the very end of the season, they ran into Dimension C137 and had some beat up Troll Slayers, and it looks like both of those have now been replaced. And even still, he's got some wounds that he is licking from week 1, where he played Rumblebee and met Rod.
So in his past 5 games, he's played 3 necromantic teams.
Getting the claw.
Getting the claw. Well, that is a perfectly disgusting looking dwarf team.
Yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, he's got what 5-7 guard. Is that enough? Is there ever enough guard on a dwarf team?
There's never enough
Nope.
guard on the dwarf team.
We can get one more Longbeard and 2 Troll Slayers with it, so that might probably happen.
Well, he's got one blitzer that's due for with the niggle. He's about to level.
Yeah, and he's keeping this piece. It is Blodge. It is also very close to leveling. So the chances of it being a huge factor aren't great, at least until he plays some of the more foul heavy teams. I think that's where he'll see the niggle come up more. But he's looking at the Necros in the rear view. So other than that, I think it's the undead team that's probably going to foul the most.
I think what we really need to talk about is the decidedly undwarf like plus edgy ups.
He's got a couple of those. What do you think of Hell's Gate? Is it nearing the point of way too expensive, or is it worth every penny?
Oh, that guy just is.
You gotta
amazing.
have that guy. I would say you gotta have him because like that's the biggest weakness of the dwarfs is movement and agility, and he covers both of those.
Very good. And what do you think of the second runner that has Wrestle Strip Ball Tackle?
I am not sure it's going to seem as much use in the higher divisions. Like, I like ball hawks when people are going to potato against you, but in the higher divs, people just aren't. I don't think.
It's the only one with movement, so I can understand why. But yeah, I
As
agree.
opposed to the ball hawk route, what else would you have taken?
Dwarf runners get agility access, right?
They do not.
Ooh, okay.
We
Well,
get
then
agility
I
on
take it back.
doubles, yeah.
They have passer access and general.
Well, then I don't think that there's much else you could do with it. Except
I
make
would
a backup
fire that
runner.
guy. Well, block
You don't-
tackle, I guess.
You
or got
want
wrestled,
the
but-
movement. Yeah, exactly. The only other option that I usually see is a leader on your non-regular ball carrier, or you actually do get the passing skills, and then since you do have an Agi 4 blitzer, you kind of have a receiving target in those instances where you need to make a 3-turn, 2-turn touchdown.
Well, it looks like he's the backup.
Yeah. Well, and you just, like, to your point, I mean, their weakness is movement. If you can have that extra 2 movement on the pitch and keep a longboard. I mean, we just saw in his last match, he had 3 expulsions. So he's clearly willing to foul with his longbeards, which makes the runner a positional that's on the pitch.
And it's also the only wrestle he has on his team, so
Yep.
plays into that fouling game.
Yep, it works.
Yeah, the only well, wrestle strip ball is great, but if you're looking to open a cage, then wrestle's one, and then you still have to blitz with something else.
And the last thing I'll say on potatoing is against all the teams, dwarves are most likely to get potatoed against because they have such low movement and so much guard where they can actually pin you down. This coach doesn't have a lot of stand firm, but I imagine that's on the horizon. And once you have that stand firm, it really does lock down pieces. So, you know, turn 6, turn 7, you start feeling that pressure and that urge to potato. And so you can actually force it quite well on dwarves, at least in my experience.
And then he's got a backup to flyer on the back. It could work out well for him.
Yep. So we'll see how that works. Like I said, strong coach. I think we predicted him middle of the pack this season. I think that's where he puts himself this season. So we'll see if he can surprise us all and get some big wins against some big coaches. Moving on to the other team, I kind of talked about them a little bit. The Necromantic Newbies. They are going to be the second team that we look at this week, and they are coached by Yoichi Hiruma. And like I said, this team just got out to a really, really slow start, but I think this past couple weeks they have really turned the corner. Biggest reason for that, Zach Brooks got Mighty Blow, and the collective sigh of another Claw Mighty Blow werewolf entering REBBL happened around the world.
Strength.
It's, you just know, like, we all know that he's going to get a strength up werewolf in the next, what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? It's inevitable. Awesome stuff on this team that obviously stands out is the Blodge Golem. He just needs guard, and then he's going to be fulfilling his destiny, channeling that hindered dejection. His other Golem has had some rough times and has died several times.
Death.
I feel like that's pretty common for necromantic teams as well. There's always one good golem and one that just dies constantly.
Well, they
Pretty much, yeah.
They always leave their golems out to dry, and you know, it's a stand firm piece. It's got thick skull. It's got AV9. I mean, if there's one piece on your team that you want to get punched, it should be zombies. But the reality is it's most often a golem. So, yeah, that doesn't surprise me that they die so often. But plus, I mean, if you are gonna, you know, break that AV9, you're probably gonna get something bad out of it. Other than that, though, he's got a lot of dodge. What are you guys' thoughts on this team?
I really like Callan Reed, the Blodge guard white. I think that is a key part of this team because he only has one guard and he's got 2 frenzy pieces, and they're not strength 4 yet.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you know, I assume he's going to get stand firm next there, so he'll have a couple Blodge stand firm pieces that could be really a pain in the butt.
Yeah, I think that would be a good pickup next.
It's really surprising how much Blodge there is on here. He's got a lot of really sticky pieces.
I think that's a big reason for his success this season. He's 1-1 against the Rats, and then 2-0 against the Chaos here, but that's not a bad start by any means. And I think, yeah, I think this team's just only going to get stronger as the season goes on, more so than like the Chaos teams here that seem to be struggling. I think he's going to have everything in the right spaces. I think he's really TV efficient. He's only got 1 ghoul. Yeah, I just like where he's at.
Oh, so you wouldn't get the second ghoul and get wrestle?
I would get a Rackle Ghoul after I get Sure Hands probably on this one, since he doesn't have a Sure Hand piece anywhere. But he's just feeding the ball to his werewolves, so it's not like it's a big priority. It's just something that's nice to have when you're playing against those teams like Skaven, where, you know, they've got the movement, they've got the dodge, and they're gonna score if you don't get on top of them.
Yeah, one tackle piece is the only thing that's going to really give him trouble with the higher movement.
You got to assume that Zach Brooks is getting tackle next unless he gets another double or stat. But yeah, he does need some more tackle.
And then sidestep on Keenan if he levels.
Yeah, good point. Well, perfect. Well, that is going to wrap up Division 3. Let's go ahead and move over to our home turf of Division 2. Land of the Almosts. This is a really, really close division, in my opinion. And hey, look at that. We've already got 95% of week 3 done. Jesus, Gengar and Cake, what's the hold up? But we'll skip that. That's spoilers for
We're
next
taking
week.
the crown from Div 1.
We are just chomping at the bit. We want to. I think all of us kind of want that Div 1 pressure as well. So, let's take a look at week 2. First match was Iron Madden versus the Oil Miners. Gengar actually managed to pick up the ball, and on top of that, he really put it to the Dwarves here. They may be AV9, but he still managed to get 19 armor breaks against AV9 Dwarves. Crazy.
At the cost of 4 expulsions.
That's just another day at the office for Gengar.
I mean, yeah, when you have 3 dirty players, you got to use them, right?
And 1 sneaky get, which he said earlier on somebody else's thing. I think he's used sneaky get 7 times now, which is very telling and disgusting. 53 blocks, though, against the Dwarves. I would say that that's probably giving Gengar exactly what he wants. So I probably won't play him that way myself, but that's a thing. That happened. And a 1-0 win on top of that. I almost wonder if it was a Tomb Guardian touchdown, but I don't care enough to look. Who's Edric Gears?
The Dwarves had a pass, though.
The Dwarves did have a pass. I do care enough to look. Let me see who Edric Gears is. I know he loves his Tomb Guardian touchdowns, so...
It's,
no, he was forced for a throw raw touchdown. Shame on you. Okay, perfect. Let me go back to the schedule here. Typos happen. Lost 2-0 to Ace Trucking Company. Quicks is able to redeem himself for the tie against Ladeus. And 15 armor breaks against the Orcs. What is happening, AV9? Jesus.
8-ball put in work.
Only 2 armor breaks for the Orcs. 39 blocks to 48. 9 removals for Ace Trucking Company. Good God. The horror. The horror. Yeah, that's a lot of SPP. Jesus. Okay. Good luck. Whoever plays him next. Oh, that's me. Great. Great.
All for you, buddy.
If I might offer a suggestion,
Mm-hmm.
maybe stay away from 8-ball.
Maybe. We'll see. Probably. I think I have a lineman that he can play with.
Oh, for 20 seconds?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Well, yeah. I outmove them, so that's the thing. We'll see. Moving on to my game. 2-2 tie to Golgoth, or Golgothian. He literally one-turned twice. That was his entire time with the ball. In the first half, he lined up on the end zone for my offense. And I could not even blitz him for like 4 turns. So that was a game. Second half was much closer. He really actually put pressure on the ball at that point, but strength 4 ball carrier makes it hard for him to even cage dive and get any kind of dice. So 2-2 draw. And I only gave up 14 blocks, so I'm okay with that.
Damn one-turners.
Damn one-turners is damn right. There's nothing I can do to stop that.
Hey, if he keeps
They
tying,
should make that illegal.
he's going to end the season with 13 points. That's fine.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's true. It's such a frustrating thing to play against because, like, and I try and be patient, but man, when he literally lines up on the end zone and you have to slowly move forward because you just know if you give any kind of gap, he's going to run right past you. It's very trying. Moving on to Trikundo versus Not an Anime Sports Team. Arch took that one 3-2.
Yeah, it was a good old fashioned elf off, where his wizard decided not to show up, and so I won.
Nice. That always makes the inducements seem like they were wasted.
Yeah, he got a Sidewinder and a wizard, and Sidewinder got KO'd twice, and then the wizard rolled a 1.
Money well spent.
Yep.
You got 6 knockouts and 32 blocks and 1 injury. That's pretty solid as well.
Yep. My singular mighty blow tackle piece put in a little bit of work. His KOs kept coming back for some reason. I don't know.
I wanted more. That makes sense.
Please,
Fruity...
sir, may I have another?
Fruity Kisses played Snovgard and 2-2 draw here. This is the Elven Chaos versus the Chaotic Elves, as I would call them.
Right.
So
And
a
the
death
dead
there
guy
for the
got
MVP. Yeah, that's nice for Banana Ace. I'm sure at that point, I mean, Ladeus doesn't really care about pieces until they have a story and a bunch of skills and value attached to them. So I'm not sure he's going to be too hurt about Banana Ace dying here.
But he got Banana Ace because he killed the guy, or he killed
Yeah,
Ace
Ace,
on
yeah.
Quix's team. Yeah.
This is where the bounty of aces came about. I think Quix is going to pay anyone that has a player named Ace that dies or gets killed or kills a player named Ace a bounty. So that's an
So
interesting
I can
thing.
name a skink ace and then lightning bolt him.
Yeah, exactly. If you want $5, that'll get you there. 3 passes for Chaos. Just want to point that out. 5 passes for Ladeus.
It's almost as many as the elves.
Yeah, that's the Chaos Elves and the Elven Chaos. It is a thing. We've got Steve winning 2-0 versus Live Tree or Die Hard. This one caught me by surprise. I don't know about you guys, but Duberman's Wood Elves are pretty stacked. There's no injuries for the Necro team, and yet they still won in a very convincing manner. So I'm not sure exactly what happened here, but I think I'm going to have to watch this replay a little bit later on and see.
I mean, I don't know exactly what happened, but I think that the 4 tackle on Yayo's team probably helped.
Yeah, when I look at the dice rolls, that gives me a little bit of a clue. 51 ones.
Oof.
66% success on well, basically 20 failed dodges and 39 successes. So, yeah, that's 66% success. Pickups were 100%. Catches were not. He actually failed one. Yeah, I don't know. Don't know about this one. I feel like Duberman had to really screw the pooch in that position, but that's without actually.
He
seeing
must
that
have
game.
some serious failures because
Just at the worst
have any in
times.
my game.
Yeah, that's
Well,
what I'm saying.
not
I think he's a better coach than that result dictates, in my opinion. So I'm really curious to see how the dice screwed him there. And then in the last match, Leafy Mustard took a 3-0 win over the Mainland Rodgers, and this one I did see. Speaking of dice,
I do not accept that as being me being that good. Things worked out really well in my favor.
He inflicted a lot of injuries, but man, that's about all he did. Switch over
I
to
got
his
a
team.
blitz on turn 1 and took the ball to score like off the bat, and then
his pickups were 50 or 66%. I know he failed a couple of clutch GFIs.
his Nurgle
Beast of Nurgle.
beast just freaking
There
failed.
it is. Yeah. So he succeeded the really stupid roll 8 times. He failed it 7 times. First of all, shame on him for having to activate the Beast of Nurgle 15 turns. That's a big issue. You want your Beast of Nurgle to be parked and just leave him on the skinks or whatever. But if you're activating it 15 times, you are kind of asking for trouble. At the same time, you don't expect it to fail 7 times. That is very unfortunate. And of course,
it was pretty
that's
much
why he
his
had to
first
activate it.
half.
Yeah. So that makes sense. You're playing at a disadvantage even though you've got the numbers on the pitch. But you tell me, what could he have done to salvage that game?
Well, his beast wasn't as important as he put too much importance on it, and it failed. I think was a lot. There wasn't a whole lot. I mean, I got 2 blitzes during that game. So the second one meant nothing The first one was important though, because it allowed me to score on his. I was kicking to him, so I was able to score almost immediately, and then put all the pressure on him to make the score, and I was able to kind of relax then at that point.
Right.
So that was a huge help.
Makes sense. All right.
I was worried that I was going to be destroyed.
Yeah,
game.
and you look at his team and you just kind of expect, like I was last season really winning. I had, I think, a 4-player advantage at one point, or a 5-player advantage at one point in the second half, and all of a sudden his Nurgle warrior decided to show up and maybe do steroids or something insane. And every single time he hit one of my pieces with his one killer, it was an injury. And one of them was a death. And my star thrower actually also was going to have an agility bust that I had to Apo. And I had an extra Apo, and that also got wasted. And a dead on an Agi 4 Blitzer. And yeah, he's just...
Yeah, all his fouls also got called out. So
yeah,
he ended up
got
short. He
Mhm.
got short, even though I got pieces back. He ended up getting short. So being short, beast of Nurgle, and then, and then I was just like, well, whatever. Let's go score some touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's move on to the team recaps, or team reviews, I guess is what it's called. Or no, leaderboard first. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Leaderboard here, bringing up the rear. Cake and Grad, with the typos happen. The orc team just isn't quite at the same TV as everybody else in this division. 1330. He's going to be playing catch up for quite a bit of this season. He's probably one where, not to keep harping on this, but I feel like not FDA approved probably could have had that much TV.
He also has 40K or 400K out this next game.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. That makes more sense.
And he
I think he's in the 1700s.
1700s. Okay. See, I don't know what
doesn't
I'm
have him
talking
on
about.
the pitch.
This is
Well, you got to remember that we're looking at this as also week 3's already.
That's true. That's true. A couple matches played. Pig Sofa, the Oil Miners, the Dwarf team. They're 1 and 2, and this is obviously with 95% of week 3 played. Snovgard also at 1 and 2. Gengar 1 and 1. He's got a match to still be played. Fruity Kisses just right down the middle, 3 draws, playing those touchdowns, not the clock. Swark is 1-0 and 2. Mainland Rotters 1-1 and 1. Ace Trucking 1-1 and 1. Leafy Mustard, you're at 1-1 and 1. And Arch and I are at 1-2 and 0. And then in the lead here, Golgothan's 2-1 and 0. Steve 2-1 and 0. And Live Tree or Die Hard at 2-0 and 1.
I know. I feel like the 3 of us need to be equal, so I'm failing us right now. I have lost, so I hate to say it, but you guys are going to get a loss coming shortly. No fault of your own, just to keep things balanced.
I'm just going to point out that you were so far ahead at the start of last season.
Oh my God! Don't talk about this.
That I don't worry too much about the early leads here. Duberman's team could implode any week.
We're all, 2 points apart?
Yeah, exactly. And Golgothan's team can implode at any point. The Necro team makes me a little nervous that they're getting out there. I think are they the highest TV in the division right now as well? They are.
I think so,
They are, yeah.
So that makes me a little nervous because it's going to be hard for people to catch them unless inducements start showing up and doing some work, and so far they just haven't. But I also feel like the Necro team should be losing to the Elves. That's, again, why Duberman's match concerns me so much. Yeah, so we'll have to see how that plays out. So team reviews, let's go ahead and start by talking about Leafy Mustard and Grrzoot, your team. Feel free to tell us where you're at, what you like, what you don't like, and where you are trying to get to be.
Well, I can start by saying last season I had an AG5 skink, which was phenomenal. I also had one the previous season, but he died.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a couple of really good skinks, and I felt that I was protecting them too much and being too conservative with them. I mean, they won me so many games, but I'm like, I'm running 1900 TV, so I dumped them.
Mm-hmm.
I dumped my Strength 5 Saurus and my Agi 5 Skink in order to bring my TV down and play with pieces that I don't care about losing so much.
Yeah.
So that was the big thing. Other than that, my Saurus I've been very conservative with them. So you can see that I have a lot of like defensive type skills. I'm going to get Blodge Guard on 2 Saurus. Before I was getting Mighty Blow and stuff, it was more important to me to keep the pieces on the field than it was to remove other pieces.
Yeah.
And then of course there's my strip ball guy.
I think that's the distinction that we're seeing across the Rebel on Lizard teams is what used to be, you've got the old guard, which is the control Lizards, which is Eisenmike's team. I think even Horny Cricket, when he played Lizards, he played a bit more control based. Really looking for that guard, that blodge, that stand firm, tackle, all that kind of stuff. And now we're seeing the new shift towards the kill Lizards, which is you in 130. Although now you're kind of teetering back the other direction, but
I like to
originally
do
you had
both.
more. Yeah, you're kind of playing that middle line, but you've definitely got more Mighty Blow than I would say the average Lizard does. And that's just saying, with 3. So it's not
Right,
like you
with
have a
3.
lot.
It's
It's not like you have a lot.
I think Lizards they are a control team, and
Yeah.
I like to think that they play way better defense than they do offense. At least that's my experience. So I've always kind of played them that way. I'm not too much afraid of elves. I'm not, I can play against these faster moving teams in order to control if they can get a touchdown. But as we move up in the Rebel, everything gets so well, there's a lot of kill teams. There's a lot of claw. There's a
Yeah.
lot of removals going on, and so that's like the second half of my agenda is try to get to the point where I can at least make the removals or have a good enough chance to make a removal to make things easier.
Yeah, that's fair. And you don't really get fouling options really as Lizards unless you
No,
fight
I don't have
broad,
enough
so
players for the
yeah.
most point. You never do. You're always, higher TV, and you don't have throwaways,
Yep, that's very fair.
I feel like
Okay.
just to throw in here, I feel like the block Mighty Blow on every source is a just direct response to the tried and true wisdom of mark the sources, hit the skinks, and they're like, okay, well if you're gonna mark my sources, I'm gonna remove some of your players.
Yeah. It's
I
a
think
good point.
I think it's good, but you can see the one source that I have that's like excelled beyond all the others started with Mighty Blow instead of block.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just kind of proven that Mighty Blow gives you more TV, right? More SPP. It moves your guy up faster, but it doesn't give you any. It doesn't give you any safety or surety.
Is that your first Crocs?
No, that
Okay.
is my second Crocs. Third Crocs.
Third Crocs. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So he's close to leveling. Are you gonna go guard next, or what's the plans with him?
Well, yeah, I think I will go guard. It's such a toss-up between guard, stand firm, right now at this point because I do have 2 guard Saurus.
Oh, I
But the
thought
Crocs is always alone,
I thought your choice there was whether you want to break tackle, since he is such a reliable piece now that he has block. He's a better cage diver than even more beer. And you see Eisenmike use his Croxagore that also just got blocked, but even before that, with break tackle, you'd see him constantly reposition and get that tail in the perfect spot.
It's a great idea. I hate anything that is random.
You don't want that really stupid roll, or that
I don't want to like set up to
bonehead.
I don't want to set up to have a bonehead roll screw me over. I would rather keep him as a more traditional big guy, in which he's like a pivot point than moving point. But when I first started playing, I like Crocs does the blitzes, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I played against a couple of guys that's how they played, and it was so. I mean, every once in a while it would cause a huge problem, but it was pretty easy to outmaneuver the ability of the Crocs to put in a position, even with break tackle. So I won't get break tackle on him until I have more utility.
Makes sense.
What would you get on a double?
Ooh.
Well, if I could get a strength up, I'd get strength.
Yeah, but like a regular double. Would you get dodge or
Oh, that would,
tackle?
man, I would have to have
Pro?
like a couple of drinks and sit down and think about that for a while. I don't see it happening. I just,
Well, we're gonna actually get to a Croxagore that had that exact same conundrum and got a lot of crowd input. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But let's go ahead and move on to the non-anime sports team. Keep us on pace here. ArchXL, tell us about your team, your struggles, and your goals.
All right. So this team is not how I would have built it when I started. My blitzers have like 1 level each. My thrower is baby thrower. My catchers are bloated all to hell. And then all of my linemen are just there. I started with 4 catchers. Well, I started with 2 catchers and then immediately bought the 2 other ones because I was like, speed is good. If I go fast, they can't hit me. And then they just sucked all the SPP out of my team.
That's usually what catchers do.
Because why would I throw to this other 4 agility lineman when I could throw to somebody who has 4 agility and catch?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm now trying to backfill, and it's not going very well.
I play a bit of high elves, as anyone that watches my recaps will tell you. I like to talk about high elves a lot. How much did your life suck when you lost your thrower?
Okay, so you're going to laugh at this. I actually let my thrower die.
You had the Apo and you didn't do it?
Yep, because it was turn 2, and my thrower was level 5 and had not rolled any doubles yet. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start again. And that was 9 games ago. And he's just now leveled to level 2. It is the worst.
I was to say, has that really affected your game? Because to me, like once you get your high elf thrower past level 3, I would say is really the turning point. It's become a crutch. Like you cannot have a good offensive drive, it seems like, without your thrower just having that safety net. But maybe I'm just playing it greedy.
I've found that I've had to use my catchers way more than as screens, as marking people. It's terrible because you can't just park your thrower in the back and be like, well, here's 13 squares that you have to get through before you can do anything.
Exactly. Yeah, it really forces you to play a very different style. I watch, not FDA approved play, and he barely ever throws ever. He's probably one of the few high elf coaches that just doesn't play the passing game. And so if he loses a thrower, he's probably not even going to notice. But traditionally, you see the high elf coach is the one that wants that 2+ pass into a 2-turn touchdown, and playing more defense basically. And without having that accurate thrower with sure hands and, something to get the movement there, or strong arm accurate, it just becomes a very difficult proposition.
Yep. Yeah, it wasn't. I'm not convinced it was my best play. The Apo did save one of my catchers from dying later, but
You've got bloated catchers anyway.
Yeah, these catchers could die.
You currently have the money to fire them and start over.
Nope.
Yeah.
I will not fire somebody unless they have to die on the pitch or get a strength bust.
So the only other thing I would suggest is maybe instead of just letting them die, you buy the second thrower, and then you level that one up.
Okay, so I've had 3 second throwers.
They've
Well,
got
quit
hidden taunt.
throwing them at other people in the face, man.
Yeah, I guess. Like, I don't know.
You're like, what do I do? I need to block this guy. What do I do? Oh, here's this guy with no levels. Throw him over there.
Yeah,
And
no levels and 8 armor. So
I'll officially give the finger right now to your guard leap Agi 5 piece because that guy killed. Well, he assisted in the kill of my blitzer, so that's something I'm still salty about.
yeah, he does lots of work.
He may or may not have a target on his head for my match against you this season, and since he doesn't even still have block or dodge, yeah, he might feel
That's
some
fair.
pressure.
That's
He
fair.
might feel a little bit.
All I have to say is that Arch's team does not scare me, but Googling his team names to figure out what anime he's talking about does scare me.
That's fair. That's very fair. This team to me just epitomizes the elf bullshit of I know I can remove 6 of these pieces and you're still probably going to be in the game. Because whatever I don't take
You only
away,
need 2 pieces free.
yeah, whatever I don't take away is going to do something that's unique and going to be difficult for me to work around. I love the addition of the frenzy piece as well. If you eventually get him leap too, to jump over and then surf somebody that's at the wrong square is so strong.
Yeah,
That was the
I played a Kislev team for I don't know, like 10 games, and I was
Mhm.
like, wait, frenzy leap?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That because everybody that always plays against the high elves the same way. They want to set up wide, and so they hug that line because every high elf just runs along the sideline and then cages up over halfway into your backfield. And so if you spread out like that and you put one piece back and one piece forward to kind of prevent the 2-die, which is kind of standard, just leap over, easy surf. So yeah, I like that.
Yep, I just need to get like if I have one problem with this team, it is that there is no sidestep.
I
which
tried
makes-
to kill that frenzy catcher.
I mean,
4 times.
Sidestep's something that's really good when you have a lot of it, so it's not really hurting you that you don't have 1 or 2. And really, sidestep. Well,
The problem I have with it is that I can surf somebody with my frenzy piece,
right, you're just gonna get surfed
But-
back.
but I also can't stay near that sideline.
Yeah, that's fair. I was gonna say sidestep's a noob trap or like really strong against noobs, and then I of course lost my game because of sidestep. So yeah.
So maybe you shouldn't say that.
I don't know, but I mean it's true. It works really good against players that don't think about where the block's gonna land. So when they're trying to if you have your sidestep high elf blitzer, you put them on the corner of the cage, and unless they fill all the holes, now they just put your blitzer in the cage, and they have to throw more dice at it, and that's where it can really complicate things. But Div 2, I think we've all seen sidestep. Unless somebody's half asleep when they're playing their game, they probably will be able to counter that. So I don't think you're missing out as much as if you were in say Div 4 and you had a bunch of sidestep. You would get away with a lot more.
Well, I have to say for anybody listening to this, not that I'm advocating killing players, but that frenzy catcher was I didn't expect it. It was always unexpected that there's this elf with catcher with frenzy, and he
Right?
kept pushing me out of position.
Yeah, the 8 movement and frenzy is just disgusting.
It
Mhm.
is. It is,
Mhm.
but I think I took out your 1 sidestep piece, so I'm okay with that. But for everybody else, kill the catcher with frenzy.
No, if you're gonna kill something, you should definitely kill
I would say
Kuroko.
you're arguing for the kill on the one player that doesn't have a stat up.
Yes, yes. I can deal with the strength 4 catcher. I can deal with the movement catcher. Just get rid of the freaking frenzy catcher because he can move a guy 2 spaces, right? So that always moves you out of the one. You plan for 1 push, 1 space, but 2
Yeah.
is really that creates an opening.
The best part is he got Frenzy instead of a movement up,
Yeah, that's
because
you
three
rolled another
movement
movement
up
up.
seemed
Move up, yeah.
God.
three move up seemed kind of
Yeah, well, and you want two of them on one piece. That was what literally won me a playoff spot in the CCL was a movement 10 catcher that got sprint. I had a one turner. That's all I needed. That's pretty much all it takes on high elves.
must be nice.
Yeah, it was, and then I lost to Nurgle. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean that's high elves, right?
Yeah, exactly. You get Nurgle in the first round of the playoffs. Great. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on then to Division 1. Keep our pace. We're still just a little behind, but we'll get there. So Division 1, they actually have played less games than we have. Go to Div 2.
Div 2 is the new Div 1. This is
Exactly.
where all the real action is at.
Right. I'm just more excited about the game.
Well, and we all had to earn our spots. You know, some of these Div 1 people just got like grandfathered in.
Jesus.
Grandfather. Can I talk to you about that word, son? Grandfather. That's not a real term.
Yeah. So this first one, Necronomics 4-0 against USS Sulaco, I tuned in on turn 6, and Eisenmike was fouling with a Saurus to get sent off intentionally. And I
So
just
he didn't get hurt.
and I just said to myself, "Oh God, the horror!" It was bad enough. I think he started the match down 2 Saurus for missing next games or whatever.
He did.
And so he had like 2 Saurus removed in the first couple turns. It basically means that he had 2 Saurus and a Croxagore and Skinks. And so I don't like soft concedes. I definitely understood why Eisenmike was really not even in it at that point.
I enjoy soft concedes if you soft concede by fouling your team out.
Yeah, I mean that's a much better way than just running away in the corner, typing in chat, "Please don't hit me anymore. I will just in turn. Please don't pick up the ball. No, please don't foul me. No,
Yeah,
don't throw any more blocks, please."
He
Please
was
don't.
playing the game, but
Yeah.
he knew it was probably
And I'm not saying that that's what Eisenmike did. I'm just saying I hate that kind of soft concede. Like, no, we're playing the game. You know, like you would not do this to me. You would want to keep going. So yeah. Anyway, that was a rough game to watch.
Never be nice to your opponent.
Exactly. Don't show them any mercy. They will show you none either. Men in Tights lost 1-2 against New Day Co-op. Really, it looks like Kool-Aid has come back and not really missed a beat. I was kind of curious to see if he had gotten rusty at all in his time away from the REBBL, and that does not appear to be the case. Only 28 blocks succeeded, but why do more when you can get 10 removals from 28 blocks? That's all you need. Pastry Pest versus Animal Farm, as is tradition. Luminous pays the iron price, and we lose a legend, Bavati, the thrower with the heart of gold. He's no longer with us, but he, of course, trounces Sace in the process.
Yeah, but Sace did his damage.
Mm-hmm. Tadpoles in the big city won 1-0 against Mistays and Knights Who Say Knee. This is the Kill Lizard team against the squishy Brett team that just keeps hanging on by the toes of their feet. The Booze... Oh, no, that's a different week. New Year Norse versus Saskatoon Shiners. Nosedive, I did watch this one as well. Nosedive went full tilt after a number of removals, 26 armor breaks for the New Year Norse. That's kind of best case scenario there from 42 blocks. Only 10 removals from that, but that's all you really need. And Nosedive did the rest. And then Cheese Tactics in the 1-1 draw against the Booze Cruise, which drew all kinds of attention for a number of reasons. Most of all, in my opinion, is the high score that was set by the Booze Cruise. So far, this is the highest number of blocks in a single match that did not go to overtime for the season, or including the Devastational. However, last season, there were 2 other matches. One had 87 blocks and one had 88 blocks succeed. But Booze Cruise here getting 84 blocks against the Orcs. That is a statement right there. Unfortunately, even in spite of all those blocks and removals, Motley's ball handling skills were just not quite there, and so he was not able to get the win there. Any thoughts on that game, guys?
Am
Did you
I
guys
allowed
watch
to
that one?
say it?
Did you guys watch that one?
I don't need to watch it.
84 blocks too much for you?
No, it's not even that. It's just Motley and Boosters is a way better coach.
Yeah, just took that one.
I mean, he's always been solid. I've played him 2-3 seasons. The guy is a great dwarf coach, and
I feel like
if somebody played into it, I'm sad he didn't win.
if you look at the block dice for the Booze Cruise, 63 pushes with only 23 POWs and 26 skulls. That was he's probably lucky he didn't get even, or unlucky that he didn't get even more removals.
Right, it was like 5% away from a pitch clear.
Jeez, that's crazy. I didn't even look at the pushes. That's a lot of dice. A lot of dice. That's crazy, actually. Okay, perfect. And then let's move on to the last one of the week, which was Gloom and Zoom. Going 1-0 over Eat Man Things. Ninja Pirate as Assassin off to a rough start. The Necros did some work here with their blocks, getting, looks like 12 removals, so that's the high score of the week there. I don't think the death was anything too essential, if I recall.
That's the Strength 4 Wolves team that needs to die.
The Strength 4 Wolf team that sets the bar for Strength 4 Wolves. Even when the Wolves do die, they just come back and roll more strength ups. So,
right.
What did he get on his Rackle or his Wrestle Ghoul?
The Wrestle Ghoul went with tackle. So yeah, it's Rackle.
Okay.
Appropriate. Nothing wrong with that. I don't see Strip Ball being very effective in Div 1 personally. So I'm very okay with going tackle there. Okay, perfect. So there's that. Let's take a quick look at the leaderboard. Eat Man Things, unfortunately bringing up the rear 0-2. Sulaco off to a rough start, as we mentioned. Some of these teams, a couple of these have played 3 games. Nosedive took a loss there. This week, it looks like he drew Lumi, but he was 0-2 before that. Mistay is also in that same rough spot. Sace 1-1. And clear, we can go ahead and jump up to the clear front runner so far, which is 130, actually going 2-0 to start. And Gloom and Zoom 2-0 to start. So they did play some of the weaker teams to kind of go, just from stack rankings. So we'll see if they're able to keep that momentum as they play some of the more brutal claw teams like Sace and Kool-Aid. But either way, off to a good start. Can't knock those 2 teams yet. And then the 2 teams that we are going to talk about, one of them we've mentioned a couple times now is the Lizardman team. So let's go ahead and take a look at Tadpoles in the Big City, which are coached by 130. I believe this was a rookie team that kind of worked his way up. It did very well last season, made playoffs, and earned their spot into Div 1. This is the Kill Lizard. This is what we were really referencing. What is that, 5 Mighty Blow? That's...
Yep.
Well, and then you got your Jump Up piling on, the Jump Up being a recent addition. That is a Saurus and a half.
See, when you were saying kill lizards, I was thinking that you were saying that he was taking Mighty Blow like 1st or 2nd. 3rd, I like, because once you get to 3rd, you need something. When you get to 3rd level, you need something to help you along after that.
It's like I wish my guys lived that long.
Well, that's true too. I mean, a lot of them are close to leveling again. He's got 3 of them that are just 1 or 2 games away from leveling. Really 1 MVP from leveling, or even 1 Kaz. So yeah, that will also shift the team direction quite a bit. What I worry about though is he's only got 2 guard, and that's including his block pro grab Croxagore that doesn't have
Croxagore.
guard. So as he plays some of these higher strength claw kill teams like Sace, like Kool-Aid, we might not have as durable Saurus as we're used to.
Well, that is the problem when you go and seeing that. Well, I'm not going to talk about me, but I mean, this is great. I love his team. It's, I mean, he's got all the power, but a couple of key removals with all that forward power, and you've lost all your advantage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And he's going to hit that like 2K TV, which is horrible for lizards. Really, I think once you hit that high, you're giving up a lot of TV for. You're giving up a lot of inducements. You know, one chainsaw, and you just lost 200K TV.
That's a very good point. I will say he's doing his best to keep the skinks down, but do you really get rid of a blodge movement up skink?
No,
sprint?
you don't get rid of that.
That's
keep
not,
that. Like if you get rid of any skink,
that's gold.
Yeah, I wouldn't get rid of either of those. I mean, I had a 230K skink, but
yeah,
both of those are all that you need.
Basically,
really
exactly. They're perfect, and unfortunately, he's gonna have to level one of them soon. But you get probably sure feet at that point, and then that's truly your one turner. And then the other one, you just don't want to level up ever.
Yeah, the other one's your blocker. Either your blocker for the one turner, or well, he's got diving tackle on that one, so that's your fallback guy for
your safety for Skaven and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I really like this team. It's we saw it in the playoffs. He can get removals with it and start to really snowball. And when a control team outnumbers you, that really makes life painful, especially against agility teams. So
the problem is that most of these teams once you start getting to the 1800K TV above, they usually have a bench, and the removals aren't as important anymore because they're throwing their garbage at you. You know.
Yeah, well, and you can see, I mean, the two teams he played in one, Nosedive with Saskatoon Shiners and Knights Who Say Knee, the Bretonian team. Those
Both
are teams.
Weak teams, yeah.
Those are teams that are very susceptible to Mighty Blow, and also just Lizardmen in general. I would say, Skaven versus Lizardmen is kind of a weird 50-50 because they can usually run through you, but yeah, that's
depends on how developed the Storm Vermins are.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it's not even that. The biggest problem with lizards is you have to keep in this case, he's got 2 tackle and a diving tackle, which is a little bit better than what I have. So he's got a little bit more components to deal with that. But if you can isolate those tackle pieces, then Saurus don't really have a dog in that fight.
Well, it's just the thing is you can't really stall against this team. You have to score early, and that's what really. If you get the chance to score, you take it, because if they can reposition around you, or if they can sneak the diving tackle skink in there, like you're gonna feel that pressure.
Yeah.
So that's really a strength of this team. I'm anxious to see how 130 does this season.
I know. I like it. I like these lizards. They're good.
He's right at that sweet spot. So it's just a matter of if he can survive the worst of Div 1, which
the best thing to happen to him right now is somebody kills just like one of his Saurus, so it drops his TV from 150 and he picks up a fresh one. He'll still be in a good spot.
That's true.
So I just want to ask you a question. On Blanky, the block tackle Mighty Blow that's 1 SPP away, if he levels, what do you take?
I personally would take more tackle, but
well, he already has tackle.
Or not that one. Sorry, I was looking at the other one.
More guard.
I think I would take break tackle on that guy.
I'm not worried about chasing people anymore. I'm worried about trying to reduce the dice that they can get against me. It's really going to come down to the Chaos team, and when they've got a strength 4, Chaos Warrior.
You know what? Actually, I agree with Arch. I would take break tackle on him and then use the toaster guy as your forward
guard.
throwaway guy. Go for like make him break tackle because you need tackle and mighty blow really to effectively use break tackle. Like you're not going to break tackle a guy when you have no skills, right? Because it's still a die roll and you're still moving out of a tackle zone, so you want it on a piece that's effective.
I get where you're going, and it makes sense from a safety standpoint, but a lot of times, and you'll hear Isaac and Mike talk about this all the time with Lizards, you don't necessarily need break tackle to do that. You can block, if you're positioning correctly, you can use your other source to block
To
clear
block the guy off, yeah.
the guy that you want to use to blitz with. And so it can often become a crutch having that much break tackle. And this is obviously the opposite of what I was saying with the Croxagore, where, you know, break tackle gives you more options. Well, it's true, it would give you more options here, but I think you need the guard a lot more. I feel like 3 guard is minimum for an effective bash team.
Yeah, and break tackle makes more sense on a Crocs because it's basically AG5 then, so it's a 2+ instead of a 3.
Yeah.
Isn't it still a 2+ for a Saurus Dodge?
It is 2+, but it 2+ on strength 4 because it's Agi 4 at that point. But it does help with tackle zones and things like that, repositioning. So let's go ahead and move on to the last team that we're going to take a look at today, which is the New Year Norse, which are just right next to them, which is Ornan's team. And again, another rookie team that made its way all the way up to Div 1 with the big boys. This Norse team at 1820 TV is missing one of its berserkers, which actually would then put it up into the 2000s, or was it 2000s, right?
1990.
1990. He was in 2000 range, but looks like he took a hit.
He does have a level up available.
Yeah, he does. So that'll put him right back up to 2010.
How is my question?
No, he'll only gain like 20 to 50 TV. So.
No. How is this team still alive? Like, what is with these high TV Norse teams?
Look at this too. On top of all the regular, just what the fuck, he has 2 mighty blow on a Norse team at 2000 TV. 2 mighty blow, 2000 TV Norse. And
this is an odd.
And this is team that's played 43 games.
I don't want it. He's only played. This will only be his second season in the actual REBBL League. Previous to this, he was in the
rookies, right?
The rookies. So he played like 30 some games in the rookies. So, but not counting that, it's only been like 15 games, 16 games so far in the actual REBBL.
I get probably the second Berserker is only at 10 SPP, so that's obviously cycled. He probably had Mighty Blow there. I know he lost some linemen, but you're not going to have much Mighty Blow there. Let me see the All Foreigners. I guess that's the normal Mighty Blow spot. 40 matches on one with just guard and block, and the Blodge guard one has 41 matches. So both these All Foreigners have been around forever, and they don't have Mighty Blow.
Well, you went guard first, and guard first makes you not
level up.
Level up. You know?
Yeah.
That makes you a secondary piece, not the block piece.
Even though it's got frenzy, that's awkward.
I feel like he looked at the frenzy, looked at the strength 4, and said, "You know what? I'm not gonna block with these guys. I'm gonna put guard on them, and I'm gonna put them next to stuff."
They're black orcs.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're black orcs with frenzy if needed.
I mean, actually, really, they're Saurus at that point.
They are. Yeah.
They're not even black orcs. They're just
Saurus with frenzy. Why can't I get frenzy on my Saurus?
Well, they're
because there's
actually,
like 7 other skills they'd rather have.
But frenzy Saurus aren't the worst thing either. I think.
I got a line of a guy gonna get frenzy, but
yeah. But then okay, so we're talking about the obvious stuff. There's some not obvious stuff on this team too. First of all, when's the last time you saw shadowing? This is probably the first piece ever in Div 1 to have shadowing.
Oh, geez, I completely missed that.
Strength 4, tackle, frenzy, shadowing, lineman. That's a thing.
it could make some situations that you wouldn't think could happen.
And that's what I think this coach had going for him all last
Because
season.
it's like you shadow a guy and he moves to the outside edge, but he fails his role and doesn't get to dodge, and then all of a sudden you get a freaking push out.
Here's another piece that people love. A lineman.
1945. Oh.
A lineman that gets dauntless, sure hands, kickoff, and movement +1.
But that's his ball carrier, though, obviously.
But it was a lineman that became a runner by de facto.
Norse get a runners,
right.
though,
Look at the runner right above the lineman. It's a movement 7, same stat line, but with agility access.
But he's a defensive piece. His runner's been made into a defensive piece, and his
lineman is being made into a runner
piece. What? I don't.
It's so great.
If it works, man. If it works.
It's so great. It's exactly if it's stupid but it works, it's not stupid. It's
all right.
It's
So
a thing.
You guys want to take bets on what he gives his linemen?
It should be dirty player, but I'm guessing he hasn't rolled it yet because maybe it was a double.
This is the same guy who has diving tackle first on a berserker, so
I know.
it could be literally anything.
It could be literally anything. It could be another shadowing piece because why not?
I can't talk anymore about
This
it.
and we've just spent all these what the fucks, and we haven't even mentioned the armor up Yeti.
No, armor up is good on a Yeti.
Yeah, otherwise it's only AV8. I mean, that's the only reason it survived 40 games.
Man.
But it makes me have to pee, so I'll be back.
Okay, you do that. We're almost done too, so don't worry. Yeah, this is a team and a half, man. We could talk about this team all day. And to top it off, I mean, they're not in bad shape. They just beat Nosedive. Sure, they lost to Booze Cruise, but Dwarves should beat Norse 9 times out of 10 in the first place. Block heavy teams that, one has AV9 and one has AV7. You do the math. No, I'm very curious to see how Ornan ends up because the last Norse team, did get pretty brutally murdered after hanging in there for a while. And I don't know that Ornan is the same coach that Soul was. So
he's playing Necronomics next, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see that game.
I definitely want to see that game. It's going to be a good one. And actually look at this. So the most recent level up on a lineman was Fend. So he's just one random Fend. Maybe he gets another Fend.
Oh yeah, he's building an actual line
of peasants. Yeah.
I like
peasants.
It.
Yeah, I don't hate it either. I like Fend for linemen. If you have 3 of them, maybe they survive a round.
Man, this whole team just looks like somebody took an actual Norse team and just shook it until all the skills rearranged.
That's a good way to put it. The other thing I was thinking of is this seems like a Chaos Cup team. Take every stat up. Doesn't matter what it is. Take the stat up. Roll the dice.
No, I mean, he obviously has a plan on what he's doing with each player. It's just I don't understand what that plan is.
Well, you're right, because, I mean, the things do synergize pretty well. I mean, the strength up tackle frenzy shadowing piece is the weird one, but okay, we'll give him that. Block guard is always going to synergize on strength 4 pieces. Granted, frenzy is weird there.
He's got the break tackle jump up.
Yep, that's good. I mean, his killer is pure perfect killer with everything that you would want on a killer piece. Although pro before tackle is probably a misplay, but we'll forgive that.
Well, you don't need tackle if you just roll POWs, right?
Yeah, that's the fill in the blank chaos team strategy when you don't have tackle.
What does he get on level 5 for that thing? Guard?
No, I would probably. He's already got frenzy. Stand firm.
Yeah, maybe.
I would go stand firm because also the other plus. I mean, if he doesn't roll double, if he rolls a double, oh no, he's got jump up. What am I saying? If he rolls a double, maybe dodge, maybe diving tackle. But I would say stand firm or, no, actually just stand firm because if they fail their,
and I'm still in awe.
I know, right? So on the killer, if he levels up, he doesn't roll a double. You get stand firm because if they block your piece and they get a push, now you can then kill them back, basically, and you block them
Yeah.
back the next turn. So that makes sense. Guard, you're not going to do. You're going to be on the ground half the time anyway. But yeah, just a crazy team, and I want to watch more of him play. He won the minor league, I think, with this team last season, if I recall, or not last, the season before last. And then he made it to the minors championships against me this season. I played Lizards, he played Necro. It was a good close match. But yeah, he's a good coach, so I'm really curious to see how he does, because that'll probably tell me how bad or good I would do in Div 1. Although his team is very different than mine.
Well, and that's it's Norse, so I mean, all those skills he could lose half of them in one game.
Yeah, it's good old Div 1
And
treatment.
it looks really defensively oriented, like he's very defensively set, and it seems to be working for him.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so the last thing that we can touch on is the match that we are looking forward to on Div 1 for this week. We didn't talk about it for Div 2 because everything was already played. But as far as these matches go that have not been played, the 1-1 draw with Lumi and Nosedive was actually a good game. I did not see Mistakes and Men in Tights, but I guess there was a one turn there. The rest of the stuff, Sace is going to murder Eisen Mike. I don't think children should be allowed to watch that game. New Day Co-op versus Necronomics is going to be a really, really well-coached game, and I am curious to see how that plays out. New Year Norse is playing Eating Man Things, so Ninja Pirate Assassin will probably continue to get their S pushed in. Polite way of putting that. Booze Cruise versus Tadpoles in the Big City. This one's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Dwarves aren't going to have the can openers necessarily, and I mean, there's so much Mighty Blow on both sides that I think it could tilt really hard one way, but I just don't know which way that's going to be.
Well, I mean, obviously, Thick Skull is going to bring the Booze Cruise through this.
I'll take that bet.
He can hope, right? It's one of those things. It could go one way or the other.
If you want to take Booze Cruise, I'll take Tadpoles.
I mean, the Lizards have the advantage, right, because of the movement right away. But I don't think the Booze Cruise should be underestimated. And Tadpoles is a bit to the ring. I see 2-1 Booze Cruise.
Toe in the middle of the line there. I'll let it slide. And then the last one is Gloom and Zoom versus Cheese Tactics. Can strength for werewolves destroy orcs that want to get punched a lot. God damn it. If Gloom and Zoom doesn't just completely run over Cheese, I'm going to be disappointed, but I will not be disappointed as long as Cheese kills strength for wolves. That sounds reasonable. I would like to see death on all sides. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, death on all sides. More death.
I feel like if Cheese gives up 84 blocks again, he's not going to have a team left.
God,
but the thing is, the Necros won't put guys to get 84 blocks.
No, but he has Frenzy.
Dwarves will.
He's got Frenzy. I mean, that's
a part of it. I mean, no.
That's a part of it, but dwarves are best when based against their enemy, right? So it's if you're looking to score, you're not gonna base that much to get that many blocks.
Yeah, I don't know. Looking at the teams really quickly.
5%.
The one thing I will throw out
on the dwarves
is Fiction has a whole whopping 1 guard. So, granted, you don't need guard usually when you have strength 4 werewolves, but it will make a big difference in this match because Cheese does have a decent amount of it, and he's got strength 4 pieces. So, we'll see. I will watch that one as well. Could be a good
Fiction
one.
also has 2 completely unleveled flesh golems.
Yeah, well, that's just standard necro, as we mentioned before.
Yep, you put them in the front to take the punches in the face.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me. That is going to do it. We're not going to do the TV plot chart every week, so we're going to skip that this week, and we'll follow up and see what it looks like next week as the TVs change.
Because next week will be 2 weeks.
That's true, and it'll be more interesting because of I'll probably try and do this before Div 2 finishes all their games, but we'll see. We'll see. Thanks again, guys, for coming, and thank you everyone for watching. You guys have a great week, and good luck.